Hey guys, welcome to JayWalk Media. This is Matt Miller, and watch Congressman Eli Crane absolutely tear into Joe Biden's Border Patrol failures. These officials who have been letting in millions of illegal migrants for the last 4 years into American border communities, ravaging these communities, and really just letting down the American people. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris are to blame for this. They're, of course, the leadership here, but the officials in charge of the Border Patrol have been letting millions and millions of these illegal migrants into the country under Biden's purview, and somebody needs to answer for it. So Eli Crane makes it happen. He demands an answer from these people, and he actually tells them that they are terrible at their job. Before we jump into the video, I want to ask you guys to please leave a like in the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for your support. Let's jump into the video.
You made some statements today talking about the causation of this crisis that we see at our southern border. You cited poverty, corruption, climate change, to name a few. Is that correct? I want to run by some actual quotes from President Biden for you real quick. On September 12th, 2019, then candidate Biden said, "We're a nation who says if you want to flee and you're fleeing oppression, you should come." Did you hear that? Did you hear him say that, sir? Yes or no?
I didn't specifically hear that quote.
Okay, thank you. On June 27th, 2019, candidate Biden, "Those who come seeking asylum, we should immediately have the capacity to absorb them, keep them safe." Did you hear him say that?
I don't specifically recall that quote, sir.
Okay. Would you agree with those statements, though, that we should absorb them? That we should have the capacity to absorb them? We should do that?
Congressman, we're required under law to inspect individuals who present, and individuals do have the right to seek asylum in the United States.
So would you add that to your list now that we've gone over that it wasn't just it's not poverty, corruption, climate change, a tsunami, like my friend here, Mr. Burkeen, was talking about? Do you think that one of two people that could have been the president of the United States, the leader of the free world, saying that to the entire country and to the entire world during a television hearing, do you think that had anything to do with what we're seeing now at the southern border?
Congressman, it sounds like it is a recognition that there are people who are fleeing persecution, and in my reference to the particular governments, Cuba, Nicaragua, and Venezuela, there are individuals who are fleeing persecution under those regimes.
Okay, so one of the leaders of the free world said, "Hey, if you want to come here, you should come," right? So, all right, that's really what's going on here. That's what my friend Mr. Keene was talking about. That's what many people are talking about up here. This isn't the, global climate, movement that many of my colleagues on the other side are trying to make it out to be. A lot of what it is globalism, sir. There are a lot of people around the world that are very, very powerful, and they don't want anybody to have borders. They want globalism. World Economic Forum is one of them, and that's unfortunately, what many of our leaders actually take their cue from. What do you guys have to say to Americans who are living in fear every day of another terrorist attack? Let's start with you, Ms. Sabatino.
No, thank you for the question. We invest significant resources, starting with our National Targeting Center, which also plays a significant role in the screening and vetting of individuals, whether they're through these processes or any individuals arriving to the U.S.
What do you guys have to say to Americans who have seen their schools, hospitals, and community spaces overtaken by migrants? You guys have it? You get a chance. You're on TV right now. Do you guys have anything to say to them? Do you have anything to say to Americans who are afraid the cartels are taking over their towns? How about anything to say to Americans who have lost their children to fentanyl? Do you guys have anything to say to them? Go ahead, Mr. Hunter.
Congressman, in regards to the irregular migration challenges, it is a singular focus of our department to reduce irregular migration in the hemisphere and unlawful entry out.
Okay, well, thank you for that, but you're doing a horrible job, and the American people know it, okay? I mean, you guys are doing the worst job in the history of this country, so the fact that you even answered that as if that's your responsibility just tells me how detached from reality you absolutely are. Mr. Hunter, where were you on 9/11, sir? Do you remember where you were?
I do indeed, Congressman. I was working in Washington, D.C. At an NGO on DuPont Circle at the time.
What about you, Ms. Sabatino? Where were you?
I was an immigration inspector at John F. Kennedy International Airport.
You remember exactly where you were that day?
I do.
Ma'am, what about you? You remember?
Yeah, I worked for the Executive Office for U.S. Attorney's Department of Justice.
Ms. Youth?
I was serving in Madrid at the time, but I was in Geneva at a training.
Okay. Well, the reason I asked you guys that, do you remember what Americans were saying right after that? Do you remember what Americans were saying? Do you remember saying never again? We're never going to let this happen again? You guys remember that? Yes or no? Go ahead, Miss Youth. Do you remember Americans saying that?
Yes, sir.
Miss Meckley?
Yes, sir.
Miss Sabatino?
Yes.
Well, guess what, guys? It's going to happen again. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And for every one of you guys that has sat by and supported these policies and these tools that we're talking about today that have allowed and expedited this mass migration into the United States, you're going to share a little bit of that ownership, all right? That changed so many of our lives forever. We said never again, and here we are implementing policies and tools that are making it so easy for individuals who don't love this country, who want to do harm to this country. And we're not talking about everybody. We know there are plenty of people who just want to come here for a better life. But you guys all know there are plenty of people in this country right now that want to do Americans harm. And this is my question for you, and we don't have time to answer it, but I want you to think about this. When the next major attack, like 9/11 or a series of 9/11s happen in this country, will you still continue to support these policies and these tools? Because we're not going to forget it. We're not going to forget who was at the helm. We're not going to forget who was in these positions. We're not going to forget the policies. We're not going to forget the tools. And we're not going to forget the committee hearings like we had today.
Congressman Eli Crane is one of the most savage congressmen, in my opinion. This guy, he used to be a Navy SEAL. And, so he's got that temperament. He's tough. He is no BS. He's not going to put up with any of this, fluffy, woke nonsense. Or this bureaucrat speak. He's going to cut right through it. And every single time he has the Democrat witness or a wasteful, incompetent bureaucrat in his crosshairs, he destroys them just like we just saw. Now, these border officials, these border patrol officials have been failing the American people for the last 4 years under the Biden administration. And really, this is one of the biggest threats facing the American people right now. Because it has so many ripple effects throughout our entire country, right? Now, millions of illegal migrants entering the country weighs very heavily on our economy and on the American taxpayer. We're heading into skyrocketing inflation and possibly a stock market collapse and employment issues. And, the illegal immigrants mass influx is not helping things. So it's American tax dollars that are propping up these hotels, these migrant hotels in New York City and other sanctuary cities that are taking care of these people. And that's a massive issue. So it's expensive. And the other thing is we don't know who is who. We don't know who has a criminal record. We don't know who is a member of a drug cartel, who's involved in things like human trafficking. And that's a big problem. That blind spot, because these people came illegally, is a massive security threat for the United States. So this really is, and there's dozens of other problems that the open border causes that Trump and his campaign and his agenda points are looking to reconcile and get taken care of. But Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and their media minions have been basically saying that the border crisis is a conspiracy theory, it's not real, and they've been kind of asleep at the wheel for the last 4 years, just letting it happen. Now, these Border Patrol officials that Eli Crane is grilling here were the people who were kind of directly involved with the negligence that was going on. I think that they bear some responsibility if they're in charge and this happened under their watch, that they definitely need to give us some answers. They owe us answers. But ultimately, we know that this was the policy of the Biden administration, or at least the negligence of the Biden administration. And nobody is really going to be able to clean it up other than Trump. Trump and J.D. Vance, in my opinion, are the only guys who could actually tackle this problem, who are even really acknowledging that it was a problem and crafting a strategy to deal with it. So good on Eli Crane. The guy, like I said, he's an absolute savage. I'm a big fan of his. And we need more congressmen like this who are congressmen, congresswomen, who are not afraid to really just get in there and tell it like it is. We don't need any of this sugar-coated speak from our elected officials. We need people to look our bureaucrats in the face and say, look, why did you not do your job? And if they don't have an answer, then you're fired. You got to get fired, or you got to get demoted, or something. Something needs to happen, some kind of consequence that's equal and balanced with whatever infraction or whatever negligence there was. So, and we're definitely not seeing that with the whole Secret Service thing and the Trump assassination attempt. Mix up is an understatement. Absolute failure, security failure. So anyway, Eli Crane, thumbs up, great job. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell so you get notified when we post new videos. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.